So if you look at the normal flow of HTML, basically if this is the web page, then HTML is going to put all the elements from left to right. In case if the element is a block display element, then the entire block will be taken by the block display. So basically it is going to come like this. Okay, so this is the normal flow, but Flex is going to change the flow. Okay, so for example, if I take a container, a div, so generally what happens in Flex is you should always have a container and you are going to apply display Flex to the container. Okay, now let us say there is a div. Okay, and div is starting from here to here, and inside it there are many divs. Now this is called the parent. This is called the parent div, and all these are called as children. Generally they are called as items, or when you are applying Flex, they are called Flex items. Okay, so what we have taken is we have created a outer div, and for that outer div we have applied Flex, display Flex, and then we have lot of inner divs. All these are inner divs. All these elements are inner divs. Now if you don't do anything, all these are actually block display elements, which means they are going to take up the entire block and they will appear one after the other. But when you have applied Flex display, display as Flex, then what will Flex do is it will make all of them as inline elements and it will try to arrange everything by row. By default, Flex has a display of row. Flex display is row, okay, which means it will display all the elements in the row, and this is called the main axis. So here the main axis is row. Okay, and now, so by default Flex direction is row. You don't have to do anything. Flex direction is row, and if you want to change it, you can apply Flex direction as column. Now when we apply Flex direction as column, all the elements will be arranged in column, so top to down. So like this, all the elements are arranged in a column like this. And now column will become the main axis. This column will become main axis. Okay, so now one thing, there is something called as Flex basis. Now whenever you give Flex basis, then it will increase the flex along the main axis. I will show you with example. It is difficult to show here. Anyway, I will show you with the code again. So now if I give Flex direction, Flex basis as 100 pixels, what happens is, see, if this is the row, this is the main axis, which means by default Flex direction is row, and if I give 100, then it will flex along the row. It will flex along the row. So this, I want you to understand one key difference here. Flex basis is not the width or height. It will act depending on the flex direction that you have given. Okay, if the flex direction is row, then all the elements will be dragged along the row 200 pixel. Similarly, if the flex, I will show you with example. Yeah, here, if the flex direction is column, then all the elements will be dragged across the column, which means height of it will increase. Try to understand this. When the elements are having a direction column, then when you apply flex basis, the height of it is increasing. But when the elements are having direction as row, flex direction as row, and if you apply flex basis, then the width is increasing. So sometimes because of flex basis, width will increase, sometimes height will increase. That depends on what is the flex direction. Okay. So now let's see a program. Now let's see the HTML code. We have a div with the class container. So this div is going to be the container for all the other divs which are inside it. Now inside it there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 divs. Okay. And now if you observe the styling, all of them are given some colors just to differentiate them. And now this container is given a display of flex, which means we are making it flex, and a border is given for just for you to visualize how big the container is, and the color is given as white for you to see the background as white. Now let's try to see the preview. Now by default the flex direction is row, that is why you are seeing all the elements in one row. Now let's try to change it to column. Flex direction is already row, so even if you write row it is not going to take. So flex direction, if I give column, you can see that all the elements are appearing one by one after the one after other. Now we can increase the height of each element, but then one thing you have to observe here is display flex and flex direction are properties of the container. Okay, but flex basis you have to apply to the children. So select all the children and apply flex basis so that you can see that height of them are increasing. How am I going to select all the children? On the class container you can apply star, which means all the children of container. Dot container star means all the children of container, and then you can write flex basis 100 pixel. Now you can see that actually the height of each one has increased. Now let's try to remove the column, then you will see that along the row they will increase. Along the row all of them have got 100 pixel wide. Okay, so you can pull it. So got it. Now you can also give flex inline, display as inline flex. So without inline flex, if you apply column, then it is going to take the entire column, right? But if you want it to be like this, if you don't want it to take the entire column, then you can give inline flex. Okay, thank you. Let's see layout using flex. So as I told you, flex is going to lay out all the elements by default in one row. Okay, but if you change the direction, it will take this column. So whenever the flex direction is row, then the main axis is in this direction and the cross axis is in this direction. Okay, main axis and cross axis are important, so remember them, we will use them. And then when you are having a flex direction of column, then the main axis is going to be this and cross axis is going to be this. Okay, so now let's see various properties that you can use. So this is by default how it is going to look like if you have many elements in the flex box. Now if you want to change the order, if you want only one element to appear at the right, for example, I can choose green, I can choose the green element. Okay, I can choose the green element by using the container class green, and I will give the order of 1. Then what happens is all the other elements by default, if you don't give any order, all the other elements by default has 0 order. All the other elements have 0 order. Okay, now when you set 1 to this, then it will try to arrange them in the increasing order of the order. Okay, increasing order of the order. So like this, green will go at the end because it is 1. Now if you give 10 to this, then 10 will come at the end. So whatever order you give, accordingly the elements will move. So using order, you can change the layout of the flex items. Okay. Now similarly, one thing that you have to understand here is by default, this property called flex wrap is no wrap. Okay, this is no wrap. I don't know why they don't have no followed by hyphen followed by wrap. They have combined this. It is actually like now wrap, but it is actually no wrap. Okay. So now if you take the flex wrap property, by default it is going to have no wrap. What does it mean is, when you try to shorten this, for example, if you have more elements, in the flex box, they will go out of the screen and they will not be visible. If there are more elements, they will go out of the screen. There is no wrapping around. These elements are not going to come here. And even when you try to resize the screen by decreasing the width of the screen, then all the elements are going to cut off. They are not going to be visible like this. They are going to be cut off. Okay. Now if you want to change that behavior, then you can use wrap. Now if you give flex wrap as wrap, then it will be interactive. We will see in the code. Okay, don't worry. It is difficult for me to show here. So, but then I'm trying with the diagrams. So when you try to decrease the width of the screen, then you can see that they are wrapping around like this. Okay. And then when you want to, there is something called as justify content. So when you use justify content, by default its value is flex start, which means it is going to start from the beginning. Flex start means it is going to start the layout from the beginning of it, and you can change that justify content. If I give justify content as end, flex end, then it is going to take it and put it at the end. It is going to start from the end here. Okay, I hope you are getting the difference. Flex start means starting from the beginning. Flex end means it has actually gone to the end of it. Okay. And then you also have justify content center. It is going to place it in the center. Okay. And then you can also give space between the flex items. If I give space between, then it is going to give some space between all the items like this. Okay. And then there is something called as align items. So align items flex start. So in this layout, it is not going to give you any difference. Let's increase the height of the container to 70 VH. 70 VH means 70% of the viewport height. Whatever your screen is, the container is going to take 70% of it. Now the size of the container has increased. Now you will see these align items, what happens. Okay. So when the align items is end, flex end, then all the elements are taken to the down. When it is start, all the elements are at the top. And when it is center, align item center, then it is going to be centered. So one thing you have to understand here is, align items is going to act on the cross axis. Okay, whatever your cross axis is, it is going to act on that. Now if you want one element to be at its position, without moving, then you can select that element. So this is applied to the element, and you can apply align self, flex start, then it is going to be there. So anyway, we will see all that in the preview of Visual Studio Code. So here we have taken a division, which is the outer container, and inside that there are many divisions which are inside the container, and then we have given all the classes and some background colors. Okay, and now display is given as flex. Now let's see whatever we have seen so far one by one. Now this is how it looks like in a normal browser. Okay, whatever we have done, it is going to look like that. Now we will change the order of orange. Now this orange should go to the end. We are giving orange order as 1. You can give 1, 5, 10 or any number you want, but as long as that number is greater than others numbers, then it is going to go to the end. So orange is at the end. Okay. Now let's give flex wrap as no wrap. So this is by default. Even if you don't do it, then let's try to decrease the size. Now you can see that as I am decreasing the size of the screen, the elements are going out of the screen. Okay, you can see that the elements are actually moving out. Okay, now if I want them to wrap around and don't go out, then I can give flex wrap as wrap. Then you can see that the elements are wrapping. Now they are not going out of the screen, they are actually wrapping. Okay. Now justify content, by default it is start only, flex start, but you can give flex end. So when you give flex end, it is going to move it to the rightmost. Now when you give space between, I guess, just see what space, yeah, space between, you are going to have spaces between the elements. Give space around, you will be getting space at the beginning as well. Okay, at the beginning and at the ending you are going to get this space. If I do justify content center, then all the elements are actually placed in the center, justified. Now align items, flex end we have given, but the size of it has to increase. Now let us say height of the flex box is 70 VH, 70% of the viewport, and then you have given flex end. So when you have given align items as flex end, all the elements are now at the end, at the bottom. Now if you give center, all the elements are in the center. Now let's select one flex item. Blue, and we are applying align self to flex start. Then blue is going to appear wherever it is supposed to actually appear. Blue is going to go there, and all the other elements are actually getting align center, align item center. So one thing you have to observe here is align self is applied to a element, okay, or children, or to a child or a flex item. Now whenever you apply a style to the child or the flex item, that will get more priority compared to the styles applied to the container. Okay, so that is why this align item center is not going to work. It is going to be overwritten by align self flex start. Okay, so wherever it is supposed to appear, if it is start in the normal flow, it will appear there. Okay, thank you.